I am live. How are you? How's everyone doing? Happy 420. Our favorite holiday. I lost my lighter. It's lit. Not yet. Of course, I'm a minute late, but I had an important phone call. Perfect timing. So, how's everybody doing today? Oh, a bee flying outside of my window. Body's on the other side. Sometimes life stings like that, right? So let me see. Oh Lord, I did not want to talk that. I didn't go far. It's like my special, I call it my meteorite rock. I got this really awesome stone. My stick is kind of sticking up in your way there. From this place, Balance Rock. It was like given to me there from like I swear the earth. I don't take what I'm not supposed to. But yeah, it's like the earth gave this to me, like along with my little trusty stick here. Right? Earthly matters. I love my little staff stick. It's like the perfect stick. I don't know. I found this outside one day. It's like I felt it was like waiting at my feet for me. Oh, divine timing. So I was going to talk a little bit, surprise, surprise, about our sacred cannabis sativa plant today, and maybe pull a few cards and just speak about, I think, herbs and, green, heart chakra. I have a few things pulled up on my computer. I thought might be a little bit of fun. I popped in the gematria for marijuana and cannabis sativa and 420 spelled out. And I didn't peek really, so it'll be fun to see what that says. I hope you got your blunt or your bong, or if you don't smoke, that's quite all right too. Or your hemp. It's so good. I'll show you too. You know, I'm not promoting, and don't be going inflating prices more than you already have. It's like, goodness gracious. As soon as something becomes known, they get the helium out. I heard there was a helium shortage a while back, a long time ago. I don't know how such thing could occur. But however, so hemp hearts though. Also hemp is so like amazing. Well, this isn't made from hemp. However, you can make clothes with hemp. The cannabis plant is used for so many numerous things. I believe it could even be used for, say, like, right, fuel. It's definitely used for fuel for us because when you eat hemp, 10 grams of protein are in 3 tablespoons. So it's like a couple little, right, handfuls. And this is from nature. So your body's like, oh, yeah, I know you. And so our body's like, woohoo. And it absorbs it the best out of any other protein that we could acquire. So anyhow, just a little tidbit of information since it's, marijuana day. And after you open them, which I didn't know for a long time, you should keep them in the refrigerator. I think no big deal if you haven't, like if you have them, like how you store your nuts normally. But it does say, should store in the refrigerator after opening. So do yourself a favor and keep them a little longer. And but it's a great, like, especially if you're, right, a medium or a channeler or telepathic, we exert a lot of information standing still, right? So we're constantly processing, and right, just like a computer, you punch something in the right space bar, so it's constantly running, it's constantly processing. And if someone else comes into our, say, waters or our electromagnetic field, etc., right, or is thinking, dwelling hard on us, etc., that's a magnet. We can feel that. That's quantum mechanics. That's quantum. Excuse me. So first, I just want to say thank you so much for coming to join. Whenever you are here, whether it's on 420 or any other time, it's the right time. And I hope some messages that get passed through me are important to you. And if you could please kindly share, like, subscribe, right? Hit the little bell so you get notified. That's how we keep the movement going, right, tribe? Keep passing it along. And absolutely just passing the vibes, right? So thank you again for being here. And so yeah, going into a little more of, right, what was it, where was I? Right, yeah, the sacredness really, and the various things that marijuana or hemp have been and are still used for to this day. And, just as humans for a long time, we've been in a lower vibration. So everybody's like, right, been in fight or flight, survival mode. So where people can cut corners and skim off the top, they do both, right? So then that leaves for a very narrow space to squeeze between once we're right trying to make it through. Which is why also they say, right, you can't take it with you when you go. And that's the other green, right? The moon, blue moon, just kidding. The money tree. So, money is just a currency that we've all agreed upon to, right, exchange as a current transaction, right? So that's one green. And this green, right, the earth, what it provides, right, all the elements that come along with it, the air, the sun, the right, the moon, the light, the dark, we need to balance both. Too much sun's too hot, right? Too much shade, too cold. Kind of like making me think of Three Little Bears, right? Or just too hot, too cold, just right. And we're approaching the Goldilocks zone. There's, I believe, 3 galaxies coming into alignment. We have, I think, Andromeda, Goldilocks, and Milky Way, if I'm not mistaken. But do quote me. But so as we're coming into, right, our binary star system is coming into alignment. This solar system on the right with all the other outer external planets and asteroids and belts and, right, other things we know not of yet, right? Or that may have gotten a little twisted in translation during translation throughout space and time, right? Because like the game telephone doesn't take much for, right, the words to get interpreted very differently as we continue passing it, right? Speaking of passing it, pass off. It's lit. Got my little Yoda in the background behind me. He's green too. And two, what is it? I don't know what they call it, something of the green children, or like Osiris. That's green. Um, so before we were two-legged, right? We were four-legged. Before we were four-legged, were we maybe plants, right? Mineral, stardust, dirt, the earth, rock. Do we still have consciousness, moving through, traveling through, and holding space within those, right? Inanimate and animate objects, living things and non-living things can carry and hold consciousness, right? Because everything is, well, everything has current traveling through it, electromagnetic, and everything is wah. Even if we, right, it's just very like how the rain goes up and comes down, the cycles of, right, the atmosphere, how that operates, right? Same as how we're all breathing, it's all recycled, right? Air, water, right? We're all, if we look at our skin or, excuse me, what have you very closely, right? We have other living organisms living upon our, right, physical earthly living organism, etc. And internally, right, all the things that are going on. um oh, so oh, and going back to what I was saying, that's what I was saying before too, right? Like again, being in the lower vibration we've all been in, to be a little more compassionate, because it's like uh whatever everyone has had to hold onto, right? Hold space, hold, um, sacrifice, right? Their love and their, could be family, could be, right? In so many different manners, however, and in many, many multiple manners and forms. Right? The sacrifice. How do we sacrifice? Right? So now that we've sacrificed for so long, right? There's a lot, I know some have more callous upon our heart, right? Their hearts than others, right? So, but once they're able to see more clearly, right? They're gonna feel better and lighter too, right? When somebody doesn't feel good, they can be really cranky, right? Or um I can, if I, or if I'm I sometimes get like great different, especially spiritual attacks and stuff. My body goes through a whole bunch of different fucking crap all the time. So, excuse my French. Um, but and unexplainable. So it's like, you just keep rolling with the punches and transmuting the energy and keep right going through. Um, but some don't have that ability, right? Right, we all have different strengths, right, in different areas. So where we as empaths and say twin flames or divine feminines and masculines, or just those that are awakening, or just, or however, right, it applies to you, right? A divine being, a light being, a grid worker. Um, all of us, all are important. It's so hard to, the labels and the names really, because it's like I hate to leave anyone out, and I also hate to label and hold on to too much of a emphasis on the labels and the names of anything. However, they're important because a word is a vibration, and each vibration creates four, right? So when we're attaching other vibrations to us, like when two people go get married, well, if a woman takes a man's last name, we're attaching that vibration and all that ancestral bloodline karmic mess also to us. That's why it's like, right, careful to who you're tangoing with, because 14 minutes and 44 seconds in, as I said that. you know, because our name, every the vibration that we're withholding and saying that we are and attaching to us, it's like we're carrying that along with us. So, you know, it's kind of like part of the tricks of the old trade, I'll say. And I'm not knocking, because again, it's also right a beautiful thing too. So, however it applies to you, if that's then just right, it's important to right. How did things get made? Is there a difference between the word made, invented, discovered, created, right? Found, founded, um, liens, deeds, properties. You know, again, it's like the word. Looking up the etymology. So speaking of which, I do have quite a bit pulled up here. Shall we play with the words that we have for today, since it's 420? Let me say, yeah. And I also have my herbal tarot deck. Figured that was sufficient for today's greenery day. And also, too, you know, it's funny. I looked it up in my the world. Ooh, ooh. I was right in the middle though. Middle decker. Middle decker. Comfrey. And for today, what? Can you see it? Marijuana. Oh, it's the mirror thing messes me up. The angle. I'm still getting used to it. Bear with me, please. Isn't that wonderful? Synchronicity. The sacred plant literally showed itself, right? Also, you know, Canada, I don't where I was trying to find it, but could not find it right now. But I've done a lot of studies of this in the past, and there was a I don't know if I found it in like an old scripture books or like star legend, mythology, and information, etc. You know, where the knowledge came from, I can't remember is what I'm saying. But you know, cannabis sativa is also from Isis, Canis major, and Canis minor, right? It's from Isis for the children of Cain to soothe them. It's medicinal purpose. So, right, when, say, a mother is taken away from their children and the medicine that's of Mother Nature is also taken away and replaced with, right, moonshine, alcohol, all replacement. And we'll get into that a little too. You know, what are the detrimental effects to the consciousness of another being, right? Using not just Mother Nature and animal, but humans and others as pawns and, right, golden tickets, trading, buying, selling, flipping, you right, using, et cetera, whatever. You know, so again, coming out of that disgustingly negative vibration as we're coming up and out of all that, because that's what we're coming up out of. All of that, you know, it can go real dark and deep. And then as we it's our job to look at things. Is we got to bungee jump down those rabbit holes, right? When we're able and supposed to, right? When it's right, you got to always check if it's right. You're supposed to cross the street or not. Still look both ways, even though somebody else says you can go or the crosswalk says cross, right? You still got to check. Or if you're driving, somebody's like, "You're good on this side." It's like, great. I still look. I still always look before I just go. Right. So tapping into that same feeling, right? Is it time, Mr. Fox? Did Simon say? Right? Check in with your higher conscience, your divine counsel, your however you, right? Checks and balances, right? We knock out, we allow time and space to process so that we're coming from a balanced, clear, grounded space. We checked, and if somebody else comes barking, right? What does dog spell backwards and vice versa? I'm gonna be real polite. So, right, when someone else is dictating or yelling or coming at Bart, like a bird in our raven, they be craving them ravens. Want to be the crow. Don't you know? Ravens have iridescent feathers. Crows are just black. And a crow will only reveal ancient secret knowledge to those that are ready. They won't just squawk in your ear and buy and sell information or trade it or just give it away, right? The term rabbit ears, throwing pearls to swine. Type thing. Ginger and mistletoe. So 8 of Pentacles and 5 of Swords. And those are like those Pinocchio, they look like Pinocchio that you stick on your nose. This one. Lots of lies be flying. So everybody got to wear masks, right? Think about that. If there was really something airborne that was very, very horrific, and it would be all over everything. It would, right? It's more airwaves, right? Right now, you're watching me on a stream, right? Currently, right? Whenever you happen to appear here, right? Which is a different time and space, possibly, than here and now that I'm here. Yeah. Um, and ginger root is so good for you. I'm actually drinking my ginger tea right now in my sock monkey, my famous sock monkey cup. I don't want to bring it too close to my laptop because I have very, I don't use the left word, but I just, yeah, I know better, I'll say. Should I cry? Nope, I'm going to stay right here until I have my sip, and then I'll take a step forward after I put my cup down. And I placed maca and burdock root and sea moss and hemp powder, of course, and agave. And usually I put a little cayenne, and I did not. Funny. And a dab of cinnamon I did too. Yeah, usually I do the cayenne. I'll add some in the next refill when I add a little more hot water to that puppy. But so yeah, um, ginger, ginger and mistletoe, and that has to. I think that has to do with some kind of ritual too, pagan ritual type thing. Um, like why do like people kiss under the mistletoe, right? Is that like I got to look into the occultism of that such nature? Well, I'm so excited that on the bottom of the deck is marijuana card, number 10 of cups, number 10 of cups, 10 of cups. So actually, that goes into what I was, let's see, checking out before. Um, where, oh, where, here, I found that. Let's mysterious history of marijuana. Hmm. This was quite here. I have quite a few tabs pulled up, so bear with me, please. I'll keep blabbing as I go. Um, so yeah, I already mentioned how, okay, so it's really from, right, I say Isis. Now, Isis is the goddess of balance, right? They use that name for another story and another, right? So again, it could be, right, what one decides to use their vehicle for, or their words, right, or their thoughts and intentions, and where one decides to come from a place internally and place themselves, right, above or below others, depending on, right, judgment or the feelings of lack and self-loathing, right? Because pride, right, the if any action has an equal or opposite reaction. So if we overextend too much in one area, right, we're going to get kind of whiplash back in another area. So the game right now is kind of detecting where where we kind of jump when Simon didn't say, right? Or if you make it more of a game and more fun, the more fun you'll have and the more lighter you will be, right? Being a light being means being lighter vibration, right? Like turning it into a game so that our nation turns into higher vibrational beings, right? Because it takes us to do such things, right? We can't just expect waiting to see something, right? What are we waiting to see? Like Willy Wonka, like you want what? Look at it, right? Everybody got a golden ticket, pretty much. It's like everybody in the factory, everybody, which, right? If you kind of look at that movie too, Willy Wonka, in a sense, right? Or Wizard of Oz, but Willy Wonka at the present moment, right? Everybody that um, went into the factory was acting out in one sin or another, right? So, and the opposite of every sin that we behave in, because don't attach that label to yourself that that's what you are. Oh, I'm blah blah blah. I'm blah blah blah. Right? Jesus said I am, but right, I am accountable for what's gonna come out, because that's gonna come back on the flip side, right? Coincidence. If I flip a coin, history's on one side or herstory, and then on the other side of that coin is mythology. So if something is coinciding, I'm able to see both sides of the coin because I'm aligned, right? In a sense, I'm aligned with the coin side, right? Whoever I'm coinciding with, whatever, or like, oh, it's a coincidence. Well, that just means, right, divine timing, synchronicity, two coins on the same track, right? Merging onto the same current, like when you're getting onto the, say, highway, right? Coming onto the road with another vehicle, nice and smooth alongside. um, so, and I actually looked up too. I was looking up like is marijuana in the Bible? I think more in Hebrew, and again, I can put, there's very, right, sacred part of everything. And then it could be like, right, how others use something for, or, right, if I have in some way, but depending on what we're speaking of or what we're referring to in that now and present moment in time, right? Like, I have to check my side of the street. When I get a toilet paper stuck to my feet, did I throw out any shit? Any viral vomit? Do I need to wear a mask because I'm being fake? Am I instilling fear in others? So funny. I was like, because I really do, I guess, read lips a lot. And a lot of the people with the masks, it's like, I'm like, what? And my other friend was like, the other day when I had gone to the gas station, he's like, just use the telepathy. And I was like, we were laughing. But I don't wear a mask. I don't feel that, because again, the symbolism of such nature, I kind of was playing around with and I'm not discrediting anyone that's going through anything. So please, if you're offended, either take a couple breaths, please, or move on for a moment, or just breathe through it because it's labor pains. You got to breathe through it. You can't, right? Once the baby starts coming, right? It's a narrow path we're all squeezing through. And there's been a lot of gluttony for a long time. So us trying to get through and the crowd, right? It's like everybody calm it down. And remember to breathe because this is labor pains. And how does a woman give birth? Right? Maybe a little screaming, maybe right? A lot of fear. Right. And again, a lot of the I'm gonna use the word psyop. So again, if you please if you get offended by the words I'm displaying and using, please breathe. So right, if I'm not saying what is true or what isn't true. I'm just looking at, yes, both sides of the coin and observing. So, but if George Floyd is a psyop, because I do believe I heard that him and that officer were friends or something of that nature a while back. So I'm not going to get into details and what have you. However, the details I am going to get into are the phrase is I can't breathe. Right. And where do we go, George? And George Washington's on a dollar bill, y'all, which is electromagnetic currency. But each dollar weighs the same to me, just has a different, right, ink pattern upon such nature, just like each of us do, right? Each of us have our own electromagnetic signature. How cool that I get to get into this right now. So cool. Because I'm only, I really respect what I am and what I am not. Supposed to kind of go into, and I can sound very rash at moments, but what I'm about to say is super fucking exciting. I'll say. All right, so yay! Ancestors are speaking really loud right now. Okay, so all right, because we're a channel, right, too. So the channel, we're all currents come through us, electromagnetic currents. Everything's water. So everything's always traveling through, right? A river runs through it. Um, and there's always space between the lines. Right. So each of us have our own electromagnetic signature. That's like if you put, do you ever wonder how when you put a different bill in a vending machine, a single, a 5, a 10, a 20, 50, 100, etc., right? How does it detect, or when you go to ATM, it's like, how does it know how to like put what out so quick? Like, but way before it's like, right? If you ever think about such things, which I do, because I go into freaking every little rabbit hole there is almost. Well, definitely not. There's so many, it's impossible. However, I have fun going in the ones I'm supposed to hop around and jump in. Sometimes I fall in ones that maybe aren't so right pleasant. But that's part of the game and part of the game of life, right? And part of our spirit path and our journey, right? Having right good and bad. And right, what does it say in marriage, right? Um, oh my god. It's like good and bad, healthy and wealthy, and poor, rich and for poor. Thank you. For better, for worse, in sickness and in health, right? And poorness and in wealth. So we can be really healthy in one manner and very sick in another. Right? Somebody can be really rich and have every fucking thing that you could ever wish for material-wise. Fame, a very right expansive whatever name, but what comes with that? Again, whatever, that's what I was going into before, right? Pride, right, can then also have us feel very lackful, lack, lack, a lot of lack, um, self-loathing, and what's the word I'm looking for? Right? Like the opposite of pride. Well, and it could be in a negative manner. It's like when people are on stage or comedians, it's like you get it's like a lot of energy, and then you go home, you gotta change diaper, you gotta go to the store, you gotta like, and then it's like kind of like the still of silence, right? And then you're left with yourself. So it can be a mind fuck, right? Too like you ever think about a lot of people are like, oh, they wish they could be famous or they wish they could be whatever or da da da. However, can you open your curtains then? Every time you go anywhere and do anything, how do people treat you? Right? It's either something you're doing is really cool or something you're doing is like, or why are you with such and such other, right? So everything you do, buy, eat, drink, throw in the garbage, other people want it to be their business so that they don't have to focus on themselves, right? Or because it gets promoted in such a way and amped up, right? That's what gets risen. So like what goes up must come down, right? The rise and the fall. Or I joke around quite a bit about like everything. But um I joke around a lot, like God and like Satan and what have you, right? Because it's two sides of the same coin also. So, and they're going to flip sides, right? And the Horus, the hours of the day, right? 12 hours in a day, 12 hours at night, 24. Was today 420? Oh, I didn't even know that right now. That was a little flippy dippy there. I think we just flipped the clock in half and pancaked it in the middle and wrote it out into the center. Woohoo! If you give a pig a pancake. The children's book. um, how cool. Yeah. So, and think of how many different stories there are to different things, right? So being multidimensional is being able to see, right? Having ability not to see, poor choice of words, but to be open-minded and willing, right? Sorry, but allergies make my nose itch. to be willing and open-minded in order to, right, have more flow. Like we just said, we just folded time in half, right? Time is a human construct. Look up the word time. Look up the metaphysical meaning of the word time. I believe there's two different ones there. Um, and look up the etymology, right? Have awareness, right, before we go barking like da 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 at somebody else what something is or isn't, right? It's important to start going in and digging deep and shedding, because again, it's the words that we start digging. It's like, oh wait, if a word triggered me or something about that word or phrase or memory, it brought up a memory, right? Due to who we are as an internal person, personal being, personal, multi-dimensional, right? Spiritual, divine light being that's all confused and bottled up and bogged up and wandering around in the fog, blindfolded in their human vessel, bumping into each other, yelling at each other, or being afraid, or fighting brothers and sisters, right? This is all said in the Bible too, right? Um, and way pre, I'm just using that as 41 minutes and 41 seconds. And as notation, because that's just what came out of my mouth. So, and then where was that written from, right? Where were those words interpreted and written down from, right? We all come from different branches and multiple branches of different trees, so to speak, or different bodies of water, different bodies of, right, consciousness. Kind of like, you ever see like a art palette with all different color paint on it, or like a tie dye. Um, no, more like the art palette, right? In different colors, and or you could do it on your phone now or your computer now, right? Or especially on Adobe Illustrator or anything like that, right? So we have all these different colors and rays, and each color is its own like vibration, depending on like think about like when you're feeling a certain way, what makes you feel like wearing a certain color. How do certain colors make you feel? If you've never thought about that, if you usually just wear black and haven't really thought about that because maybe you're more draconian and not so much an empath, and the vagus nerve is just beginning to connect to the heart and to the stomach, right? Because before it's just connected kind of to the pineal gland, not connected to the heart and the stomach. This section is cut off from that. So if we're coming from human or Arcturian or and I'm a blend of, I'll say all. That's cool. I could just say that now too. Of those that I've just mentioned so far, plus more. Um, but we have different blends of, say, star systems. So different times and space throughout time and space, we've all been dreaming with one another, or different things have occurred. So our consciousness or our right, our light bodies or our planetary bodies or our physical bodies, right, our mental bodies, emotional. Did I say that? Emotional. I think I did, which is our saltwater body, right? Big wavies, right? We're very emotional at times, right? Lots of waves we're creating. Other people might be. So then it can keep us away. Going again back to the fact that each one of us have our own literal signature electromagnetic frequency, like your own fingerprint of the gods, right? Your own like your natal chart is your specific individual per sun, right? Per means one per sun, right? SONSUN, right? How many stars are out at night? The sun that we see right now, from its daytime presently, 5:06. All up in the mix. Oh, and it's 4/20, 2021. Twin Flames reunion. Cool. Today's an 11. I was like sitting upon my throne quickly this morning before I washed my face, and I was like, oh, snap. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Huh. Cool. That's another funny I make often, right? Because, like, what do you do while you're sitting upon your throne, your porcelain throne? One is sitting over another different body of water, a different face that has one eye, like Cthulhu. Right? And the moon. I know this is sounding really silly and crazy, but just so you know, that's how it works. What do you want? We're cleaning the plumbing, all pipelines. That means all ancestral bloodlines. That means the shit ones too. And we got to raise them up because that's what makes us have good plants, right? Because good poop makes good fertilizer. Cow manure. Moo. And the word vaccine in etymology, the part has to do with sacred cow and cow, right? An RNA bloodline. So again, mimicking something, having something naturally occur. And again, right, weighing out, is there something I'm like, am I just afraid because somebody just told me a scary ghost story, right? Like sit around a camp, put yourself in the position of sitting around like a campfire or just in someone's house, you know, or just maybe how we've grown up, but there's a lot of scary stories. But is there another version of the story, or is there another way that maybe we can look at that, right, a little bit, right, differently from a different perspective, right? So we can have, right, perception of maybe being in someone else's shoes rather than from standing from the point of view that we're coming from. And because then we're coming from that crown from, and it's like, you might as well just be, yeah. That's why there was a toilet paper shortage first, right? Just saying. It's like, whatever anybody decided on currency to be currency, we'd have a shortage of because of, it's like throwing a pinata and everybody just scatters and grabs and then like leaves like the little shit things for either, I'm going to say women, children, kids, or it's not always, or odd man out, whatever, right? Because we've all been odd man out. I'm not saying women, children, kids, but there's a lot going on with that in the present now moment energetically. So that's why that came out that way. So I apologize. I didn't mean to offend. I'm no kind of feminist or anything in that sense. I respect everyone and everything seen and unseen, whether I am aware of it or not. And as I become more aware, right? It's like as I'm traveling through space and time awakening, right? If I'm aware, if I have more awareness or it's presented to me on a mature level in some way, or sometimes not, sometimes something has to be right, like brought to me in an abrupt manner, right? Uranian manner, so that otherwise I don't, it's right, I'm not going to move because us as humans get addicted and very comfortable where we're at, right? If we know what to expect, whether it's healthy or not, we're comfortable because we know what to expect. So a lot of the Uranian energy and a lot of us as people getting very upset with things going through change, people using the terms like they want things to go back to normal, right? Back to the future. Remember Biff stole the sports almanac and went back and gave it to himself when he was younger? Kind of reminds me of Trump and all that stuff. Twin Peaks. There's so much symbolism and all that too. So yeah, being more playful with things, finding more perspective. So we have ability to see more butts. See more butts. I used that joke before. Sorry, it's a Simpson thing, right? Calling the bar. Is Seymour there? Seymour? Is there a Seymour? And he's like, Seymour who? What's his last name? Butts. Is there a Seymour Butts? Ah, ha, ha, ha. The silliest jokes I remember. But I'm like a weed plant, sativa, and I got a Davida, baby. And I got a Davida, baby. Okay. So let's see. Where was I here? It was how Moses and the Israelites used cannabis. For the Bible tells me so. That's what it says here. So this is an article. It says maryjane.com. They don't teach you in Sunday school that cannabis appears in the Old Testament, but modern scholarship shows that cannabis was used sacramentally by Moses and the ancient Israelites. And facts. And again, time is a human made construct, so it's more like a very deep wave. And as we're going down deeper into the ocean, into the depths, into the subconsciousness, right? Into the abyss, into the Enkiapsu, right? Down under. And the only way to go through a current or a magnet, etc., is to relax and let go. And again, going back to the George Floyd, right? To remember to breathe, kind of in opposites. So absolute love for whoever's going through any kind of pain with that. But then look at and then is it, is it a bad story or a skit, right? Someone's right go through, because right, narratives are also prescripted prescriptions, prescripted narratives, and the big pharma zoo, the big pharma, the big pharmaceuticals, the big pharmaceuticals, the big pharmaceuticals, zeuticals, Zeus, farm. Sorry. Metaphysics. Playing with the words, playing with our food, right? Food for thought. A thought becomes the word, yeah. It's electromagnetic vibration first, and then it becomes a word before it becomes actual thought. Right? Thoughts are things. So what we do with them, right, could be a beautiful thing, or it could be something that sometimes it depends, right? And we all have our moments. It depends, right? It depends. Everybody wearing a pair of Depends, like a little mini pair, or a little mini. Well, that from like brown nosing. Sorry. You know too that the shot represents viper tooth, like viper, and also like the center of the earth is nickel and iron. And there was another thing I had seen in the pattern of it was like, so it's like the center of the earth, which is electromagnetic, not necessarily the cube. fucking cube. But the cube is magnetic in nature and this and right like that was a song I was thinking. And please don't take anything personally. And if you did, laugh it off. Kindly. Just kidding. Uh Going back to wait, oh, light language coming out there. Busy. So yeah. Oh, the electromagnetic field and the magnetic center of the earth. And then so yeah, there's quite a lot of things that are shifting, and there's like right a double axis, right? Because true north, right, is right here, the buoyancy point, and truth resonates here. I have a solar plexus. I can have soul, right? The sun, SOL in Spanish spells soul, sun, right? So ego, sun, my sun sign, right? Today, actually, I think is the change into a Taurus. Yes, I think yesterday, actually, April 19th. HG. Um. So, and many things are coming into Taurus right now. I have to look it up to be positive. I have so much, in Taurus. My sun sign is Taurus. Well, May 19, and I'm a cusper. But and then I know I have quite a bit of Taurus, quite a few things in Taurus in my chart, but anyhow, it's important to have your own to know your sun sign, but then also know your moon sign, which is how you feel inside when you're calm, when you're not having to be all day, right? Presenting another image, projecting an image of yourself. You get to kind of go home, relax, take your shoes off. You want to take a bath, right? Make what you're gonna make for dinner, whatever it is, like nighttime. Right? Those are really the only two times. My little baby daughter told me that. Or wrote it down somewhere in one of my books. The only two times are day and night. And she is right. Little wise ones, little star seeds we all have here. And so many, again, and then those who are not, right, yet aware, they're going to discover their stars, their star systems as they're, right, like what do plants do? Plants, right, planets, the solar system, the planets grow up from the dark, from the unseen. They pop up and they sprout up and they grow toward the sun, but where'd they come from? Right? Back to happy 420. A seed, right? A thought is the seed, a mustard seed, right? That we burst into birth, right? Or same with a star is birthed in the darkness, or a plant is birthed in the darkness, underground. A child is birthed in darkness. Everything is birthed in darkness, unless it's, I'm not sure, being tampered with, tampons, blood clots. Pinocchio's nose carries lots of snot. That must be why we have a paper shortage. Lots of bullshit. And green slime. Speaking of that show, you can't do that on television from when I was younger. And if I don't know if anybody remembers that. And anytime they said water, they got water poured on them. Anytime they said, I don't know, during the show, they got the green slime poured on them. I remember their names. It was like Moose, Alistair. Isn't that funny? The things I remember. Christine, I think. I think that's all I got. Anybody remembers that show? You can't do that on television. I'm probably, oh, and no, that's all I got. That's all I got for now on that. Anyhow, but so yeah, going back to it's like right, and oh, Israel, Isis, Ra, and El. Isis is kind of like the darkness and of the moon and the stars, and then Ra, the sun, and El is like our physical material form, physical. Well, I gotta think of that. Well, I gotta go a little deeper into that. Because, like I was saying the other day in one of my other videos, like physical and material are two different things, right? This is my physical body made of the earth, right? I'm the same as the planets. Plants, people are plants, right? Planet, extraterrestrial plants. Nanu, nanu. Right? So is marijuana, right? Mary and John, divine masculine and feminine, vice versa. Divine feminine, divine masculine, Mary, John. Like is Ra, right? Is it real? Israel? Is it real? Israel? Is it real? Israel? Is it real? Israel? Is it real? Oh, lordy. um, and then again, like I said, right, the right balance of right, like again, there's so many right different things we're balancing out, right? The good, the bad, the ugly, and then bring it up and like right, a video up, like if you're jumping on a trampoline or and everything balloons, bubbles and balloons, bubbles, everything in a bubbles. Oh, too crazy. So as we're like playing the lighter hearted, right? Lionheart. Remember Care Bears? Care Bears stare. Me and my sister were talking about that the other day. We love the Care Bears too. And Thundercats from the Smurfs. Hmm. And Down in Fraggle Rock. Ba-dum-bum. And the Muppets, Dark Crystal, Goonies. I don't know what else. All right, back to the marijuana. So they don't teach you at Sunday school. Okay, but Moses and ancient Israelites used cannabis sacramentally. Cannabis appears by name 5 times in the original Hebrew text of the Bible, according to research by Polish etymologist Sula Bennett, whose work Chris Bennett later expanded on. The Hebrew word, forgive my pronunciation, please, kana boson, kana boson, is cannabis, but was later mistranslated as other plants, including calamus or aromatic cane. Little Mercury, Virgo, Venus flipping. I think that mirror got flipped over quite a long time ago. Well, I got a joke. It's like a serving tray, or sometimes I use it for food, and sometimes I use it for a card layout. But right, mirror, mirror on the wall, or flip of a coin, or is the Earth round, or is it flat? It depends which angle we're looking at. I think both are valid. And again, it's good to put the shoe on the other foot, right? To have experience on the flip side, right? And the more we're able to do that, truly, um, you know, the more fun, fundamentally, the more fun we will have. Um, and the more we'll get to discover, right? Discovering America, ourselves, right? Our 50, there's 52 states. I'm over in America. So, right, I think there's 52 states at the present moment that they say are established presently. So, right, 52 states of consciousness. What state of mind are you in, right? How are you feeling, right? What state of being are you at presently, right? So to, again, play with our food, play with our words. Word is the word. Word, word. Mm. So sorry about the cigarette. I know it's marijuana day, but tobacco is a sacred plant also. I know I'm not like promoting, but this is because it's like, first of all, it's tobacco and water, and they're taxed quite a lot. And again, there's a lot of stories that are, or right, where do things come from? If a story is coming from someone else that's been making money and right, making more, right? Like more is more, the disease of more. That could be anybody, could be me, it could be anybody when we're like, right, feeling like we're not going to have enough. We're at a feeling of lack. But then there's some that have been playing that game and right, like addicted to gambling, kind of stuck in the casino, right? One more round type thing, or um, I'm not a gambler, but I've had my fair share of playing with alcohol. um, and again, that's another demonic, say, spirit. So to have alcohol, it's a star system also. Why do they call alcohol spirit? Right? Moonshine. I said that earlier, right? The replacement of the divine, what's nature, right? Cannabis, sativa, replacing that with alcohol or pharmaceuticals, pharma, um, you know, can they help for a little while? Medicines are, right, medicine, sin, medicinal purposes. Do things have medicinal purposes? Absolutely. Most are made from herbs, but then, right, we as people have had that feeling of lack, so people mass produce, mass waste, mass consumption, overthinking, overindulging, right? More than a feeling. It's quite warm today. It's quite hot in here. Sorry. Hellfire. Plus channeling, you get a lot. Okay, so as a say channeler, medium, what have you, we get a lot of flush of energy. So a lot of information comes up and through fast. So it's like whoosh, right, a surge, a rush. So we get very right heated, hot, and then right, and then come down again. What comes up must go down. So then we can get very tired, and again, we may be staying in one spot a lot of the time. And then people can say, judge us or look at us like, what are we doing all day or what are you doing? Um, but as we're right holding space, we're transmuting energy and going through right the say problems of the world, the collective consciousness, just kind of with different terms of usage of the words, right? Different phrases, different lines. Um, you know, because again, the more that's what happens with that's what I was trying. I'm saying that only because that's how, right, say the news, the media is cast, right? Fishermen cast a net or a fishing line with a flashy little lure, or they say beware of worm, a worm in the wood. The boat, remember Nemo? And he goes and swims and he's like, and then he got caught. And he had an adventure. Then they found each other again. Remember Dory? Just keep swimming. Because we're all like Dory right now, too, right? And Nemo, right? We've all tapped the boat one way or another. Like, right? And you're supposed to, right? You're supposed to have a human experience. Nobody's perfect. We're all perfectly imperfect, right? The goal is to try to now become consciously aware of where we keep repeating the same, say, shitty behavior isms. Because once we detect them and start to correct them, becoming aware is half the battle. I know none of us like to be told, like, do you know you're always doing blah, blah, blah. And that's what I was saying before. It's like I appreciate constructive criticism when so I can be aware of, right, where I'm, right, pulling someone else's hair, so to speak, you know. So I try to come from the place of, right, like, I respect you in your waters, please respect me in mine, right? I respect your living body of water, please respect mine, and then all that extends from it. Because if something that's part of me is being harmed outside of me, I'm feeling it internally and not knowing exactly where it's coming from. So it's causing disruption, chaos, and imbalance in my own internal system without me, right? Because someone else, other, right, people, places, or things are, right? That's why when we don't all respect one another's space, time, continuum, something called the double slit method. Like, are you aware when you feel like you're being watched? It's not always a nice feeling, right? And sometimes it's like something to be grateful for because there's a lot of dirty stuff going on, right? Dirty deeds done dirt cheap. So again, it's right. I gotta look at both sides of the coin. But when beings are doing it to be, right, like keeping calms and rude, spying, detecting, experimenting, rather than keeping their, instead of worrying about what's going on within their field, right, their electromagnetic field that has a specific signature of their, right, her son as an individual, son of God, son of, like, however that, because otherwise, if you don't have the right spark of divinity in you, then, right. So as we're uh, right, continuing awakening and all different platforms of life. So again, it's like if some are not aware of, say, their divinity yet, don't think that it's not something that you can't acquire. You just haven't, right, been able to have the ability and the time and the space to get to know that part of self, or, right, that plug hadn't been able to be plugged in yet. because it was like a little too far away. So it's like almost, but we're not quite there yet, right? So if you look at it that way, again, to relax, breathe. Things are gonna happen in their time. Say, right, a woman's pregnant, you can't rush a pregnancy, you can't like rush a plant to grow. We can't tell things what to do and that, we shouldn't be telling anyone what to do, right? We should be coming from a place of, again, respect, honor, encouragement, support, all those nice things. And again, we don't always know like what may bother me may not bother the next person, right? May not bother you. And what may bother you may have no effect on me. And I'm like, I don't, right? What the problem is, you know? Or a lot of the time too, I'll have to say, like us as like say high empath, etc., have, right, if issue is brought to us, we've kind of already taken it into, right, the Google space bar, detected it, gone through, right, what I'm looking for. Right, we knock out what doesn't need to be. So when someone's running off of something emotional or mental, right, something that's unprocessed on their part, right? And then we have our share again where we go through that too, because we're human too, we're going through too. So then, right. So, but for majority, I can only speak for myself, but right, well, yeah, as an observer, I observe a lot, so I'm really overanalyze a lot. I'm always analyzing. Um, I have Aquarian moon, so that super analytical. Um, and again, we can, overanalyze self more so than obvious anything else. So kind of similar to Capricorn in that sense. Um, get stuck in, in thought in the mind, overthinking, over analysis paralysis. So a little more water in my cup. I poured that a little fast. Generally, I like to go slow, and I learned that a long time ago. Like an Asian tradition to like pour it in a spiral. There's like a whole tradition to drink tea. So, okay, let's read a little more about marijuana. The Hebrew word cannabis, cannabis, excuse my pronunciation, is cannabis, but was later mistranslated as other plants, including calamus or aromatic cane. The Old Testament tells the story of Jewish history and how over a 1,000-year period, the worship of the single Israelite God ultimately took hold over the indigenous polytheistic culture. Again, like I was kind of saying before, like moonshine taking over cannabis. But also, it's like Yaldabaoth and like, right, the feeling of abandonment, being thrown away, being separated from the child that's born when it's been protecting the child within the womb of the mother. Truly, I think, as an ancient practice that we have not, we should be, I guess, birthing in water, underwater, because babies coming from water, a water environment. And that's part of, I can't breathe. It can, so some need to be birthed underwater. And also, the uterine lining has consciousness. So it's like the doula, the protector of the baby while it's inside the mother. It's like, so it's protecting. If you've seen Lady in the Tramp, I think, right? The dog, Romania Chan. Nanny was the name of the dog, or it might have been, that might have been Peter Pan. So, it has consciousness, yeah. And so when we birth a child, that's actually supposed to stay with the child until they'll detach on their own. I know that doesn't sound so pleasant, but there's a lot more unpleasant things I think that have gone on possibly in the world. Um, and find what good conditioner is made out of. Um, and oh, so sorry, I apologize. So then, yeah, and uterine, right? So the uterus, the placenta, it should, right, remain with the child until they naturally detach. Um, and then it should actually be, say, buried outside in the ground next to a tree. So it's going back into the earth. The big, right, the big, the earthly mother. Um, so I know that's kind of a big one. If you're, that was a big one for me when I traveled through that space and time of consciousness. I'll say the recognition of such nature. So again, when we're unaware, right, but as we're coming into more awareness as, right, harmonious divine beings that are coming from caring, nurturing, divine place of space and time, because we're taking the time and space, right, to process what we need to process so that we have consideration, right, of others, so we don't go treading where we should not and barking up a tree, right, flinging shit at somebody, etc., etc., whatever. All right. So yeah, that was just a little, yeah, thing that came in as we're, reading through how it goes in the metaphysical world. It's like everything's kind of floating in the water, or like if you remember in like Dorothy and Wizard of Oz, or she's like sitting in it. It's like if you're sitting in the room or and all the stuff's flying around outside. So it's like, right, there's not nonsensical, right? Alice in Wonderland. So this is where everything is like Neptunian, everything is all around. Right. So it's like, right, Israel, Israel, Israel. Okay. Um, so the Old Testament tells us that where the ancient Israelites at the time of Moses in 1500 BCE lived in the land of Canaan, modern day Israel and Palestine, among the broader Canaanite culture that worshipped the mother goddess and many gods. Now, also through Canaanite culture and etc., right, there's like a lot of twists, right? The word crown for wreath means twist also, um, along with, right, corona, and it means crown, and it also can mean to twist, and also mean, right, ring around the moon, the ring around the sun, right, aurora borealis. Right, so again, getting into electromagnetic, different rays and waves of light and etc. Um, So yeah, and lots of switcheroos, or right, right, like, right, well, right, daughters wear mommy's clothes in the closet, right, and then, well, I like to borrow my daughter's stuff too, except for different sizes, but you know, um, they don't really like to borrow my stuff so much. Maybe. A little bit sometimes. Depends. We're all a little different, right? Um, so again, that's what the beauty of life really is to be different, to be uniquely you is all you have to do. Remember? Oh gosh, that's from Dorothy too. You had the power all along. You just had to want to go home, right? Click your heels together 3 times or 5. All right. Cannabis was well established in the region and had been used for thousands of years as fiber, food, ganja, and incense. In the early centuries of the Bible, the Lord favors cannabis as the Hebrew culture was still Canaanite. But over time, as the worship of the mother goddess is purged, practices such as burning incense to her in the temple are purged as well. And that's a lot of it, right? They've been burying the divine goddess for a long time. So it's, really, it was like Queen Elizabeth and I think like Mary's like under Elizabeth. Elizabeth's like on top of Mary's tomb or something. I forget where I had read that too. So it's like right having a foot on someone else, or it's like the story of Cinderella, where right again in Alice in Wonderland. I remember the queen was like, "Paint the roses red and off with their heads." Right? Some people carry a lot of jealousy and envy. And we all can carry that too. We all have different, um, again, right? It's like, what's in your wallet? Right? What it percent wise, if you had a graft, right? Like a pie, right? 3.1 full. You had a pie, like how would you divide your pie in, as far as like different emotions or personalities or what have you that you, right, carry a lot of or act out a lot in, right? Or, right? Taking a look at those things, right? Important. It's so funny how many bees are flying around out there. Let's see. They probably want the marijuana too. What else do we have here? The first and most significant reference to cannabis is in the story of Moses, where God gives him specific instructions for how to properly set up the tabernacle for worship and includes a recipe for holy anointing oil that includes cannabis. A holy anointing oil was to be used to anoint the temple and the priests and is sacred. The recipe not to be shared. If we tell you, we have to kill you. I'm just kidding. Death and rebirth time, because I'm going to tell the recipe. Just kidding. Exodus. I was listening to that earlier. Of course, I had to listen to some Bob Marley today. And Sublime. And Fishbone, of course. I Am a Weed Plant. It's one of their older songs. And then they changed it into Where'd You Get Those Pants? So also, right, turning oil, water to wine, right? Our body is a body of water, salt water. We have blood vessels running through our veins, right? In my head, this isn't salt water, right? This is the ether, right? Where dark matter, etc., consists, like the lake, Lady in the Lake, or where, right, Cain and Abel go running around with Eve. We have a positive and a negative thought running around, with a feeling. Again, more than a feeling. Boston. Don't look back. um, and so yeah, and the oil. So when the pineal gland, so when the vagus nerve is attached to the heart and the stomach, right? And then comes up through the throat and attaches to the throne of Osiris, where the pineal gland is, nut, right? Which is like a tiny little worm, really. Tiny little hair, tiny little worm. And that's right in the center, right? The pineal gland is floating right in the center of the eastern and western hemisphere of the brain. So it's constantly being like a um, compass, right? Constantly being, right? And can get very mercurial, right? Or mercurial waters can get, there you go, mercurial waters. So very, a lot of confusion, Confucius, right? When we're having multiple thoughts and feelings, and then they're right around our head like birds. I'm gonna do a bong hit. Um, I have it in here. So again, becoming aware, more aware. Um, Being an observer of our own feelings and thoughts, and where we again step over the line, or right, kind of take things into a place where we can go into self-righteous entitlement. Right, they did that to me, and they deserve that. Like, well, it's like whoa, 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 whoa. And it's okay to get angry about things and feel like a certain type of way and etc. But be real careful where you right decide to fling shit, because if you fling shit back, then well, now you're just both flinging shit. I remember I read a story about like Martin Luther, not Martin Luther King Jr., Martin Luther, and I guess him and Satan used to constantly have battles and would always throw shit back and forth at one another. That was an interesting story I had come across at one point in time too. Paul Timsep, bong hits are us, savage. Again, not promoting. These are just things I love that have, it's like energetics talk to me. So, but but I have no problem promoting them either, because again, I love them. So you love them too, hey. But it's like, yeah, but from yeah, see that word, right? Marketing, promoting, advertising, adversaries. To share, I'm just sharing fun wise, right? But when we take advantage, like, oh, maybe I can get more. Oh, and then I can bid it. Right. So then it's like the miser. So half I can how often are you the miser? Miser. Pinocchio. Right. Pinocchio's nose. The nose always knows. Happy 420. I need another tea light real quick. Bada bing, bada boom. So, buttons on your underwear. So, what I was saying was, as we purify our thoughts, because we're taking our time and we're respecting time and space and allowing the process, right, of enlightenment to occur. Okay, it's Kundalini rising. So, it's like the two snakes there's two snakes that are intertwined at the bottom, the base of the spine. They're like the caduceus, which is on like every hospital and medical purpose sign. You flip that upside down, right? It's like the sword coming up, right? Sword and stone. Um, so the two snakes are unraveling, right? And they've been like sleeping and all coiled up down there for a long time. So, right, everyone's like, oh, and like again, when you're pregnant, excuse me. Oh no. The grandmas and the grandpas and the nanas. She can't hold their smoke. Um, and I'm gonna go back into that too, where cannabis connects you with spirit, right? And our extraterrestrial ancestors. And it is healing. And it also makes us take a look at ourselves, right? It's used for so many, 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 children to make tea, like CBD. So you don't necessarily have to give them THC. um, However, right, that could be fine too, depending, right? Not so much, depending. So just don't quote me, please, on any of that. Right now. However, I'm just speaking freely and right. So, um, but I know in like say India and China, I do believe was the two cultures at Jamaica. I'm sure many others, definitely Mexican, Mexicanas, Mexicana, um, marijuana, Mexicana, marijuana, um, was used in teas to, right, calm Cain's children. So as long as you don't put milk or a fat in it, it doesn't exceed the THC. It won't extract THC from it. So they make a lot of time, like with the stems, you can make tea with just water and like a little cinnamon, um, and that can be a nice, say before bed or just in the afternoon, like a little around, toward that time, just to calm down because it's not a matter of say getting high, like right, so it's 420, and I'm like, yeah, 420, haha. But right, truly, and there's a reason it stays in our vessel, our body for 30 days or more. Most people who are like, they drink because they're afraid because they're in some kind of trouble because whether right of something with the say man's law. So now people drink and instead of right having marijuana in our system, which stays in our system 30 days because it's working, it's healing, it's helping heal, it heals cancer, it heals all these different things. So it's there for 30 days because it stays, it's part of us. So it's like, oh, our body again knows what to do with it. And it right, it's help it stays that long because it's helping that long. You don't right need so um again, and to weigh that compared to what does a say, right, pill do? What's in a pill? What are the side effects? Is that healing? Is it a healing property? Or is it just something to, right, help you get through a certain little amount of time in order to then take a look at why your body is manifested, whatever it's manifested, right? It could be a little bumper maybe to give us a little time and a little right like a little, but not to be dependent on a prescribed say drug. I'm going to use the word drug, right? Say from any, right, depending on it's like right most just think, oh well, that it's because it wasn't okay. Well, if that's if you're fine have it right, like I need to always do further research before I'm going to right allow someone to enter my right willingly and whatever has without my say so, right, again, right, who's watching the watcher? Somebody. Somebody's watching, you watching, me watching, right? We're all watching. I'm a wheel watcher. I'm a wheel watcher. I just snorted. And a little pig, and a big bad wolf. Definitely have wolf. Wolf. Okay, so I know I was also saying something else before I like, I know I went aside, I side reeled there, but anyhow, if it's important, it'll come back. Oh, right, the divine oil. So turning out water into wine, and then, right, so producing good fruit, making sure that our thoughts and our feelings, and we're allowing, right, more to bloom up our tree, right? Think of like the back of my, right? Like we're allowing more to arise naturally, and we're taking our right time and space to go through and discard what, and right, allow things to develop like a Polaroid picture. We can't look too quick. We just have to allow things to kind of, right, takes time for a picture to develop, or even if you're drawing, painting, right? We're used to instant pushes of the button nowadays, right? So it's important to respect where, right? I'm so grateful for all the instant things we have at the touch of a button, and then, and right, in the blink of a eye, how quick a thought can travel. I think quicker than space and time. That light traveling. Like how amazing is it that we can see, right, one another on a screen, or have, right, different, again, right, we can all video talk, pop on live, upload something, change what we don't want to see. How many different opportunities do we have in our now moments to, right, move a thought, change a thought, move a direction? We don't like where we're at, right? Thoughts are things. Once we start to, oh, I'm going into that pattern of thinking again, stinking thinking. So now when we acknowledge that, it's like we got to come back, ground, breathe, recenter, right? Allow our body of water to come back down the wave, the electrical current. Allow our thoughts and our feelings, knock out the one. It's like, great, is that really true, or am I in fear of something? Am I in fear of losing something, someone, a person, place, or thing, right? Do I have an expectation or an idealist? Am I right? Am I right? And someone else's, right, land, dreamland, waters? Am I peering? Double split, double slit method, double slit experiment, double slit method. Right. So when we have pure thoughts and we start to take a look at those things, right, the oil, because our brain is upside down tree too, and we're standing trees, walking trees, right, and five-pointed star, arm, leg, arm, head, right? Allah, voila, and so much more. I'm not kind of it all crazy on me. um, so I've been on here a long time. I'm gonna finish reading what I was saying here. So yeah, allowing our right our Christos oil to be purified, and right, we want to have good oil coming through. A lot of time again, yeah. Right. the cannabis sativa is what connects us to a lot of deep spiritual. So paranoia can come because it can bring like a wave of right things that we haven't taken a look at in a while. You know, there was a Roseanne episode a long time ago, and like her and Dan had smoked during the episode, and they were like, "Oh my gosh!" and they freaked out because they hadn't smoked in so long. And it was like after they had kids, and they like hid in the bathroom, got in the shower, and then closed the curtain. So you think everybody's gonna judge you, which is a natural human fear, right? We're so afraid of people judging us, of others judging us. What are they gonna think? What are they gonna say? Oh no, no, no! I'm just gonna go along with it because otherwise, blah blah blah, right? So, but is that a good thing? Or could that right make you make you a sheep or or a cow about to be right slaughtered? We don't want right. I'm saying don't yeah, metaphorically speaking, because all those things too are mimic of right that's showing what's happening in the consciousness of right the people us the we the people. So what are we showing example of, right? By our behaviors, our again thoughts. What are we consuming, right? Mind, body, right? Spirit, material, right? Is what are we consuming? And then where are we coming from? Say a perspective of ego, where we're feeling, well, we do, ego, pride, judgment, foghorn leghorn. I'll say. Where do we go, George? Where do we go, George? Where do we go, George? Stop it. Manga. Happy 420. That's all, folks. Just about. Um, so in Exodus 30, 23 to 25, 1446 BCE, which is 10, 14, 15, 6, 4, 2, 6, 420. Then the Lord said to Moses, take the following fine spices, 500 shekels of liquid myrrh, half as much of fragrant cinnamon, 250 shekels of fragrant cannabis, 500 shekels of cassia, all according to the sanctuary shekel, and a hin of olive oil. Make these into a sacred anointing oil, a fragrant blend, the work of a perfumer. It will be the sacred anointing oil. As you can imagine, an oil that contains more than 6 pounds of ganja, steeped in less than 2 gallons of oil, is going to be very potent. In ceremonies, the oil would be poured over the head and body of the priest, drenching them. Okay, so this is, I don't, again, different ritual practices, etc. Yeah, the skin readily absorbs THC, and the effect of soaking in this oil would be very psychoactive, offering some serious communion with the Lord. So I say, yeah, it commune with spirit, right? Because when we're respecting again, like I'm just going to show the picture of right because right, the sacred pipe. This is from so long ago. This is way before um, we spoke of heaven and hell and God and what have you. There's an old tale about how the man came up to the indigenous man and asked him if he knew about hell. and described it to him. And the native said, "Why would you explain such a place to me? Why would you?" And then it goes further into saying that that was the chief, and because that instilled, right, implanted a fear within that man, the indigenous man. So he started leaking, becoming a leaking can. Tin Man, oil can. That was deep. You know, zinc in the left hand, copper in the right, you in the middle. This makes um, bronze, Bronze Age, and then bronze and tin used to be mixed together. Um, so as we go through different spaces in time, right, that's how we acquire different elements, like the stained glass windows in a church. Right, we can't make those now. We don't have those same elements. And what are those? Okay. The second reference to cannabis is in the court of King Solomon, who ruled in the 10th century BCE. Solomon was known for his great wisdom, and he built the first Hebrew temple in Jerusalem. But unlike his father, King David, Solomon fell out of favor with the Lord because King Solomon worshipped Asherah, the Canaanite goddess of his wives, and he burned incense to her. That's what it says there. I don't know if I find that to be 100% true. The soul and moon actually, yeah, well, and Solomon, soul and moon, right? And the Lord, Lords of the underground, Lord, landlord, right? Um, again, different depths and different cycles of, right, vibrations of beings and entities and etc. That can definitely get twisted and confused or melded together, just mixed up easily or with intention. So depending on, which way one has traveled more often, right? The scales of balance or chipping back and forth. Right? Or as it the Brascus, they call that with the beads. Right? It's like yeah. Dirty deeds, done dirty. Solomon also wrote the Song of Songs, also known as the Song of Solomon, a love poem that is considered the most beautiful text in the Bible and unique for being explicitly sexual. Okay. Mm-hmm. In chapter 4, the man describes the beauty of his lover, comparing her to the most beautiful flowers, including cannabis, among other flatteries. Let's see, it's actually written here. Maybe I'll read that and then it's quite a lot here. So see. Let's see how far we go. So Song of Songs, 4:10 to 15, 950 BCE. How delightful is your love, my sister, my bride. How much more pleasing is your love than wine, and the fragrance of your perfume more than any spice. Your lips drop sweetness as the honeycomb. My bride, milk and honey are under your tongue. The fragrance of your garments is like the fragrance of Lebanon. Lebanon is the cedars. You are a garden locked up, my sister, my bride. You are a spring enclosed, a sealed fountain. And this is like, right, the seals of Solomon. So this is like all of us right now, too, literally. There's a lot going on. It's not just about, like, right, because, so it's like, right, our fountain overflowing, right? So, right, we're amazing, again, magical beings. So if we got snakes coming up the tree, right? It's just, right, Kundalini, right? We've been operating off of sleepiness with one. That's really three-headed. So yeah, super cool that we just read that. That's really exciting. Da-da-da. Okay. And milk and honey, right? The because this is alchemy. Honeycomb. Okay, there's so much going on. So yeah, it could be totally erotic and then also very metaphysical and very in, right? So a lot of things get taken into only the perversion. And it's like totally we could look at that too and then right apply, but then also it's like, right, there's the right, the sacred and the literal metaphysical. There is a process of a recipe, so to speak. So it's like when right, so put your spiritual crown on, so to speak, and come humbly so, and then have open mind and ears to listen, and open heart. Then we like like spread it open, wide open, wide open spaces. Okay, stop it. All right. The fragrance of your garments is like the fragrance of Lebanon. Lebanon, Lebanon. You are a garden locked up, my sister. So our emotional being has been locked up. And the Christ bride needs the divinity, right, to connect with the Christ consciousness in order to flourish and have an awesome, amazing, like he said, garden that's locked out, right? So we want the fountain to comes up and through. Okay. The fragrance of your garden. Okay, sorry, I lost my spot. You are a spring enclosed, a sealed fountain. Your plants are an orchard of pomegranates with choice fruits, with henna and nard and saffron, cannabis and cinnamon, calamus, with every kind of incense tree, with myrrh and aloes and all the finest spices. You are a garden fountain, a well of flowing water streaming down from Lebanon. Right, so I want to come up and out. And I have to look up, I'm going to actually, I got homework. So you too, if you'd like to look this up, it's Song of Songs. And if you look up the metaphysical meaning of this, as I'm reading it, right, and then look up some of these words like Lebanon, right, bride, honeycomb. Look up the metaphysical meanings to those words, right? So you're not just thinking about the product in a store or the product that, right, the product, right? You want to produce and be and relate to the vibration, right, of the what that is internally, in order to right get your motor run and right oil up your machine so you're well greased and ready to go. All right. As the tale of Jewish history moves on to the 8th century BCE and the prophet Isaiah cannabis once again makes an appearance. Speaking of which, savage. Arr. Oh, it's lit. Bye. My battery died. But I'm out. I had to shut out my session now. If you happen to be here, thank you so much for coming and happy 420. I had to shut out my session now. Dobie, dobie,